What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yes. I know it's been a minute. I have deprived you guys of my content, and I'm sorry. I'm repenting. I have repented, and I am back. As you can see by the title, today we're doing a Q&A. So yeah, I decided that let me introduce myself a bit more besides the introduction video that I assume that most of you have watched by now. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. I don't have much for an intro besides the fact that I hope you're enjoying your December, spending time with family, people you love, the things you should be doing, and preparing yourself for an awesome next year. But besides that little introduction, I'm already going to get into the first question. And it's gonna start off light and get deeper as the time goes on. But the first question was someone asked me if we can please buy them food. Chief, my answer to you is that if you come and do ministry next year, if you can come next year, 2026, I don't know how I'm gonna post this. Hopefully before 2026. If you can come 2026 and do ministry with us every Wednesday at 8, at some point I will get you the food. I will definitely get you the food. Yeah, I think that's the first. The second question is somebody else asking me, how comfortable am I buying you a car? How willing am I to buy you a car? I'm very willing. My bank balance isn't willing, but I am very willing. You see, if I could, I'd do it like right now. I'd get the car shipped right to where you are. But sorry guys, there's a lot of mosquitoes here. I'm at my aunt's place. But yeah, if my bank balance isn't willing, I'm very much willing. But my bank balance is not willing to get you the car. I'm very fidgety right now. I don't know if I'm being very fidgety right now. I think I'm nervous. It's been a minute since I spoke to you. But unfortunately, I can't get you a car right now. On to a much another question was that if your life had background music, what would it be every time I entered the room? I've thought about this and I don't know. I think right now, instead of it being like a rap question or a rap song, sorry, I think it would be Ntokozo Mbambo's song.
Remember what the Lord has done. I will never go back anymore.
When that song, I think that's the kind of song that I would want to play when I enter the room. Me remembering what the Lord has done and how I would never turn back. So how I would never turn back from what He has done for me. Yeah, that's the song that I'd enter. The next question is that what's the one big vision for your life that if all else was to fail for it to be achieved, what would it be? So what is that one vision that I have for my life? And I won't even lie to you and say I thought about this question heavily. I think the answer was straightforward to me. What I want it to be, the biggest vision that I have for my life is I want to be an amazing father to my children. I want to be an amazing father to my children. That if all else fails, God forbid I don't become a multi-millionaire, billionaire, or whatever, I'm not in the Forbes 30 under 30. Whatever goes on, my YouTube never blows up, IG never blows up, I never become famous, or whatever, I don't care. But if all else fails, the one thing that I will always still want to be there is that I want to be a very present father for my children. I want to be there for them in all circumstances. Whenever they need me, I'm there. For your first steps, I was there. Your first words, I was there. Your first game, I was there. Your first chess tournament, public speaking tournament, the first time you play instrument at school, whatever it is that you're doing, I want to be there for my children. And I want them to look up to me and say, I want to be like my dad, not because he achieved so much, but because he knew, he modeled how to show love in the way that I loved their mom, in the way that I loved my family, their grandparents, my dad, their uncles, their aunt, my siblings, and everyone else, the stranger on the streets to my disciples and whatnot, the way that I loved. Let my life, you know, let my life really be inspirational to them, that I can be the first book that they read, and that they aspire to be like, that they are applying to their life. So if all else fails, I want to be a present, amazing father to my beautiful children, however many they are. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. You never know how many children, but yeah, it's for God to decide. The next question that I'm going to, I don't know what question we're on, but the next question that I'm going to answer is, who and what inspired you to start making content? I won't say it's who, I think it was the what. The what that inspired me to make content is the desire for my life to inspire someone else to believe that God is good. For my life to for someone to look and say, wow, God is real. Seeing where God is taking me, where God, whatever God does through me, may I be able to document that and give that out to people so that they can see the goodness of God. Because I think for me, really, the point of my social media is for people to see the goodness of God, not what I can do, but really the goodness of God and how good He has been to me and my family. So what inspired me to make content is for me to show you guys how good God is, and to show you guys how good God is through how I am growing and how He is growing me in what I am doing. So when in the person that I grow into, who I become, seeing from who I was and who then I became, let let that also inspire you to take your life serious, to log in with God, log in with your family, spend time with your family. When else would you ask your mom how her day was, Even if you're shouting at you that exact same day, but spend time with them, Really, I value family. I hope if you guys see that. Spend time with them, learn to love them in the midst of all of the chaos and the trouble. Be there for your people. So that's what inspired me to make content. That my life can inspire, even if it's just one person, and I can have 1 million subscribers, just one subscriber for the rest of my life. If that one person, their life changes, then I'm happy, and then I'm happy. The next question is, do you have any business advice to share to us? Business advice that I would share right now is that you must always be learning. I recently bought a book. My first time ever buying a book, Atomic Habits. You get me. By the time I'm recording this, Sean has also gotten his own book, so shout out to Sean. We're on that type of time, we're on that type of level. But I recently got a book and I am a reader. I am a reader. I was never a reader in the beginning, but I am now a reader. So it is part of who I am, and the most natural, the best thing you can ever do in terms of business is to always be learning, because as you're always learning, then you'll never be stopped. But I think the biggest advice I can give right now is that the biggest skill you should have is the skill of problem solving. Yeah, the biggest skill to have is the skill to be able to solve problems in whatever industry you're in, whatever that you're facing. Be able to solve a problem, and you are able to solve problems by being able to break a problem down to its pieces, to its components, and then see where something is wrong and then tackle it. So it's like reverse engineering, you get me? And I learned that from my time spent at the In Pursuit program that I did at church. Spent with Sean, KG, OT, Matthew, Zenton, the other guys that I'm remembering now. A lot of people. But one thing I learned a lot from my manager at the time, Lindo and KP, was that they said a lot. I need to be able to solve problems by myself. And at first, I felt like, you're abandoning me. Why are you leaving me? But really, what that was, it taught me to be able to sit down with the problem. Right, you sit down with the problem and you look at all of its components from 1 to 10 and say, okay, if I break this thing down, then I'm able to identify the exact problem and then solve it. And that skill can be applied anywhere, in finance, in tech, in whatever it is, agriculture, whatever is going on. You are able to apply that skill and work with that skill in your everyday life. So the biggest advice for business is that be able to solve problems. The biggest skill to have is the skill of problem solving. Yeah. The next skill the next question, the next question that I'm gonna answer. This is this question has me thinking. I'm still thinking about it now. But the question says, how do you plan to apply anything you've learned or everything you've learned this past year into the upcoming year? And I've never thought about this. I've never thought about carrying what I've learned to the next year. I think It's it's something that you think to do, but you never think. It's subconscious, but not conscious. But one thing I want to carry into the next year is the ability to finish at the end of the race. One thing I noticed about myself was that after pushing very hard and you push past the so-called limit, and then you are almost at the finish line, one tends to slow down. I tend to slow down, and I'm almost there. So because I can see the end, I might as well slow down. Or because I can see what I think is the end, you know, I then begin to slow down. So one thing I want to carry into next year is the ability to only stop once the job is finished, to stop once the job is. And the way I'm learning this, as I'm training my mind with running, I'm loving running, I'm a runner. I'm loving to run. And whenever you run, I set a goal, okay, I'm going to run 5K. I'm going to run 30 minutes. For 30 minutes, I'm going to run, I'm going to run, I'm going to run. There are times in the middle of the runway I'll begin to want to give up, or I feel like my knee is too hard, my knee is paining too much, or I want to stop. But when I push through that, I begin to realize how much more I had. You get me? I was not even near. I was nowhere near my limits. I was near what I thought was my limit. So the skill that I'm going to carry into next year is the skill to finish at the end of the race. Finish when the race is actually finished. The next question is what's the plan for 2026? The plan is to log in with God and make money. Very simple plan, log in with God and make money. Ain't nothing else about it. I gotta log in with God and make money. Spend time with my family. That's a given. I think everything else is a sub component of the first one, to log in with God. In under logging with God is to go and make disciples. Matthew 28 verse 19. Have a team of 12. Have leaders. Spend time with my family. Spend time with myself, brothers and sisters. That's under logging with God for me when I say that. And then comes making money. You get me? Because gotta learn to be independent. Stand on my own 2 feet before I can. Yeah, I don't know how I was going with that. The next question is then, what advice would you give to a young person, or to young people trying to focus on the Lord? Um, Focusing on something becomes easier when there are no distractions. So what I mean by that is that if you want to focus on your relationship with God, cut out the things that take away your time with God. So social media, but most importantly, it's the people that you keep around you. For me, I've been able to grow with God, and I've been able to log in with God and focus on Him ever since I properly gave my life to Him. And it's been easier because of the people I've kept. I don't have friends that, and I say this often, I don't have friends who say, let's go drink, let's go party, let's go groove, let's go smoke. I don't have friends who offer that. So because no one around me even speaks about that, it never enters my mind. You understand? So I'm able to just really just focus on the Lord. I mean, I was sitting today, and one of my friends said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go watch the Warriors and whatever game, the Rockets game. But before I do that, I'm gonna go pray. And I might as and then I said, okay, what time is the game start? It said 10:30, but I'm probably gonna join late because I'll still be praying and reading the Bible. And I thought to myself, even though I went to church today, that doesn't mean I mustn't read the word of God. And that in and of itself, he didn't say go and pray, but him going to pray and read the word made me then go and pray and read the word. You understand? So it was easier for me to do that, even though it challenged my flesh, because I have people who do that. I have people who encourage me by the way they live. So if you want to focus on your relationship with the Lord and focus strictly on Jesus, cut out those friends, man. Cut out the secular music, that's a given. Cut out those friends, the friends that keep pulling you back into the life of sin, and it's in the name of, no, this is my dog, it's my best friend, we've known each other since way back. Way back will send you to hell. Way back, that whole phrase, way back, it will keep you far away from God, and you will think you're moving. And in all honesty, you probably are making progress, but what's the point of making the progress if you're supposed to be doing it 10 times faster? You understand? You're supposed to be moving at the speed of a Formula One car, but here you are driving at 20 kilometers per hour. You will get it. I will see you there. But how much more could you have done going at the pace that you were supposed to? So focus on the Lord. in the upcoming year, remove the majority, if not all, of your distractions. Start filtering, cut out one by one by one by one by one by one by one. And as you do that, then yeah, you will focus on the Lord. The next question is, why did I choose Christ? Why did I choose Jesus Christ? And it's pretty interesting. For me personally, I didn't choose Jesus. I did not one bit choose Jesus. Matter of fact, the Lord chose me. I In 2023 was the year that I got saved. It was the year where I said, wow, God is real and I'm giving my life to Jesus. Right? But prior to me getting saved, I actually did not believe in God. I denied his existence. That was just after matric, it was in Feb. So after we got a result, and it was soon after my birthday, I was at a tutor conference. Our tutor conference at church. I've shared my testimony already, but I'll quickly skim through it. I was at a tutor conference, and me just being there because I've been in this church for so long, I was familiar. Just doing my thing. I didn't care if I was on an encounter. I wasn't even looking for God, not one bit. But there I was worshiping, just singing along because I knew the songs, and then boom, presence of the Lord fell upon me. Felt like this big hug, or this big hug, a hug of love and peace and joy and acceptance, where I didn't have to work for anything. I didn't have to prove to him that I'm worthy. I didn't have to go and get a distinction to show you that I am your son, or I am like you. No, I just had to be. I just had to be, and he chose me, and that's why I chose Jesus Christ. I didn't. So a matter of fact, the Bible tells us that you did not choose Christ. I will put the reference here. I hope you guys are reading it. Pause to read it. But ultimately, I didn't choose Jesus. Jesus chose me. All I did was accept the call, and I've been living for Him ever since, man. And it's been the best decision I've ever made in my whole life. The best decision 1,000 times, and I'll do it again and again and again and again. The next question is, what am I going to do differently from other YouTubers? This one I'm still going to figure out. I will not lie to you guys. What am I doing? What value do I offer differently? I think for the time being, I offer a different perspective on one's love for God. I offer a different perspective on one's relationship with the Lord and what that can look like in an everyday life of someone trying to to pursue success in business, someone trying to pursue success in ministry, success with family, and all those things, but ultimately putting God first. I just want to the different what I bring differently is me. I am different from anybody else, and you yourself, you are different from anybody else and everybody else. So just being yourself, you really offer something different. And all I'm going to do at the moment is document it. As time goes on, I will make it better. But I think at the moment, a lot of what stops a lot of us nowadays is that we want things to start off perfect, which will never happen. Rather you start now and optimize later than focus on starting with a finished product. No one ever started with a finished product, but they worked on it and then gave you a finished product. I think this is most of the questions that I've had. The next one, if not the last one, says, share a recent testimony that occurred in your life. A recent testimony that occurred in your life. What a question. This is my favorite question, actually. As I'm recording this, it's December, and we all know what December is like in South Africa. It's December with the Z. You get me? I was battling temptation, and like I said earlier, I don't have friends that tell me to sin. So it wasn't even my friends calling me and saying, let's go to group because it's December, let's relax. No, it was self, and the stuff that I was seeing on social media. It was the music I allowed back into my ears. It was the content I consumed, and the family that I let speak into my ears. You get me? There's family who here they're just going to get you to sin. There's that one uncle. We all have that one drunk uncle, right? We all know. but we also have that one cousin. You have that one cousin, and it's not even that they say let's go drink, but it's just how they live their life. You know, it's not accurate at all. And because they don't know God like you know God, you think that you can get away with sin. You think that you can get away with it and repent in January. So I was fighting that that let me just mess up now and I'll repent again in January. But at the same time, I knew that this December and how I live it will set me up for next year. So I'm fighting wanting to be holy and pure for God, but at the same time wanting to do what I want to do because it's been a long year. Let me relax. You understand? So in that I I have this thing in my mind where I don't want to I if like it doesn't make sense to me people who live double lives, where you sin on Saturday and go to church on Sunday. Doesn't If you're going to sin, just sin and deny God and know that what you're doing is wrong, but be proud of it. You understand? At least know where you stand with God. So with that thinking, as I was thinking to myself, and here's the thing that the enemy never comes that person. He comes as you to you. So he speaks in your voice, in your slang, in your language. And the voices in my head were saying to me that, no, it's fine, boy. Let's not, while you're still figuring out if you want to sin or not, just don't pray. Don't have devotion. Because I get you can't serve God and Mammon. You can't serve two masters. So while I'm still choosing to sin and to, just stay away from God a bit. And that was the sin. That was sin for me. I never smoked, I didn't drink, but the sin for me was staying away from God and being far from Him. So eventually, a friend called Sean. He reached out to me unknowingly. He called me. He's like, "Yo, what happened? How you been?" "I'm good. I'm good. What you been up to?" I'm like, "I've just been chilling." He's like, "Yeah, yeah. What happened to your YouTube?" I'm like, ish. 1, 2, 3, and it led to a conversation where I spoke to him. I told him what I'm telling you guys now, and we had a whole conversation, and he helped me realize that Jesus is the way, man. The conversation was a while back. I think on the 14th of December. But he helped me realize that ultimately Jesus is the way. I need to choose Christ 100%. I went and I prayed, I repented, I chose Jesus, and I realized that this season of testing leads to next year's testimony. With next year, you'll testify of how even while being tempted, I chose God. I testify about how even while being faced with ourselves and everything in between, I chose God, and God will then be able to elevate me to the next level, because God can't elevate a man who still entertains sin. God can't elevate a man who still entertains sin. So I think that's all of my testimony, simply put, is that I was at the I was at the brink of backsliding, if you put in that tense. But honestly, the Bible says if you know what to do and you don't do it, that is sin. So even though I didn't smoke or drink or whatever, I didn't get to God, and that was still sin. So eventually, I spoke to Sean. He held me accountable. Spoke to KG, held me accountable. And now here I am having devotion. I'm in prayer. I'm recording a YouTube video. I'm back on it. And that's when you realize that the people around you are very important. You need to be in a place, in a community where you are being um pushed forward. It may be tough. It can, and the thing about iron sharpening iron is that there's friction, there's heat, there's sparks flying. You get what I'm saying? And even though you may not like it, and I mean, the Bible speaks about how no one likes being disciplined when it's happening, but ultimately it is good for you. Ultimately, it is what you need, and that is what I needed in this time of testing. God will not allow you to be tested above or far beyond that which you can handle. But even so, He will provide a way of escape. So pray to God for the way of escape, and pray to God, God, what, give me a way of escape. What is the way of escape? I went to my aunt's house for the holidays. I'm in Venda, where there's no sin around me. Yay! Shout out to God. He heard my cries. I am in Venda where there's no sun around me. I wake up, and it's literally just like I'm in the house. At least there's Wi-Fi. At least I can still be online. But ultimately, there's no sun around me. There's no drunk uncle. There is no hey. There's literally just me and spending time with my aunt. Who's the preacher of the word. Spending time with my family. In the word, in prayer, in devotion, in supplication, and that's how I'm able to stand strong. And that's my testimony, is that I've conquered this. I haven't conquered. Hey, I haven't conquered. I've ran to God and away from the spirit of December with Z. But yeah, that should be all for the video. No, I'm surprised, man, like how I was able to speak low key in one breath. I just spoke. I have not cut this. Like, I've been speaking since the beginning of the video. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned a little bit more about me, what I like, my values. If you see me next year, I wanna say give me Doritos and Sprite because it's my favorite snack and drink, but I am easing sugar out of my life. So give me water. If you see me next year, give me water, a fist pump, and we give glory and thanks to God for who He has been and who He continues to be. So hope you guys enjoying your December. You enjoyed your Christmas. You will enjoy the first, 31st, enter the new year in prayer and in devotion, and watch God elevate. The theme for next year is get your money up, not your funny up, man. That's a quote from Sean, and we're carrying it throughout the whole next year. Get your money up, not your funny up. I love you guys. Really love you guys, man. Take care. Peace. Signing out.